Hey everybody, this is Dan,
I'm Matt.
and we're at Silver Factory Records at 1509 Saratoga Road in scenic Ballston Spa, New York, and we're doing a What's in My Pile.
Yeah, I've got
So
piles.
he's got a pile. So I
Uh,
sent Matt into the store. Some of you might know Matt from the Cinema of the Damned and the Social Cinema. He's kind of he's as close to a celebrity as you get with film programmers, and
Thank you.
he's he's a celebrity at my house. Anyway, so what's in your pile, man? What's
Well,
in your
first of
pile?
all, I got piles, and
He's got a healthy pile over here.
it may be a little bit more than $30 worth, but
It's like yeah. So I gave them so this is the first time we're doing this. I know Amoeba Records does something like this. I don't know. They don't tell you what they basically just hand celebrities like a gift certificate and then they film them in the back.
right.
And
I think we can go with that. We can go with that. So
yeah.
I'll assume.
So I gave him a budget to kind of play around with, but it's more of it's a suggestion more than a rule, and I think I'm excited to see what he's grabbed out of the board.
I went for your DVDs 1st, being a film programmer,
Of course,
and I found my absolute favorite comedy of all time. There it is.
it's a great movie.
Bringing Up Baby.
That's,
Howard
it's
Hawks.
unopened.
Yeah. This one's sealed.
Sealed, and it's got the slipcase on it.
It's got the slipcase, and even though I think there's a Criterion Blu-ray of this now, I doubt it comes with this short film, Charlie Ruggles. I bet.
Oh, I never even caught that.
Yeah,
Charlie Ruggles.
so it's
You
like
ever
a
see
bonus thing on-
Charlie Ruggles?
I have
No.
not. No. And there's also 2 documentaries on here, and then Campus Cinderella and a cartoon called The Star Is Hatched. So this is probably a night of classic cinema.
Oh yeah, and it's I'm selling it for less than a third of what Tower Records is.
Yeah, and
Apparently, I don't think Tower Records is with us anymore.
I think if you're trying to get into classic cinema and you like comedy, I would really start with Howard Hawks and in particular this movie. Also, when people say he has rapid fire dialogue, they're not kidding.
Oh yeah,
you-
never more true than this movie.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
I think like one of the great innovations of modern technology is subtitles for this stuff, and you will get a lot more out of Howard Hawks with subtitle support. I think. I mean, there's basically like an anal sex joke in the first 5 minutes of this movie.
Well, you get to see Cary Grant in drag. You get
Yeah.
to see there's it's just one gag after another, and it's
A lot of being endangered by a wild cat, which nobody ever did it better than Cary Grant.
yeah, and I think he understands that kind of bickering early phase of a relationship maybe
Yeah.
better than any other American director.
Right, and also these classic screwball comedies, the gender politics are always really interesting, right? Because the man is usually really boring and straight-laced, and it's the woman
Yeah.
who introduced this anarchic element. And Katharine Hepburn in this is just great. If you've only ever seen her in On Golden Pond, wow, you need to catch up because she was hot stuff in this movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's you could see why you could see why they were both like huge stars. Like
Yep.
it's obvious as daylight. So
yeah.
what else you got in the pile, Matt?
Well, then we come to another comedy classic. This one from 2006, Jackass 2.
80 years later.
Yeah, Jackass number 2 rather, because that's a reference to pooping. Yeah. This is the best, for my money, the best of the Jackass movies. I don't know if you've seen them, but
I saw a lot of the TV show when I was a kid. I don't
Okay.
believe I've seen the full length.
so I think what happened was there was a lot of discourse after the first Jackass movie came out that they were kind of gay. That the films had a lot of appeal to gay audiences. And so when they did Jackass 2, they really leaned into this, And so Jeff Tremaine stages a couple of numbers here. Like there's a number in the film that's basically inspired by Busby Berkeley. And I know Busby Berkeley's not gay or anything, but basically
he's as gay as you could get without being gay. I think,
but staging a sort of lavish Busby Berkeley style musical number with these guys. And then there's more obvious tip offs like Rip. What's his name? Rip Taylor, the very flamboyant comedian shows up. John Waters shows up for a gag,
Oh, John Waters is in this?
Yeah, John Waters is in this. And it's just like...
So they just leaned into it 100%.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
for them.
And it's really one of the high points. This is unrated from Hollywood Video. So if you were going to try and get a copy of this from like Blockbuster, they would cut out all the good stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They would have gone through that with a fine-tooth comb and taken out anything to do with butts or scrotums. But I'm sure...
Yeah, last Blockbuster in Oregon, if you're listening, we're talking to you specifically.
Yeah, and $3, really can't go wrong for $3. This is really funny stuff. Yeah,
sweet.
And most of these guys are still alive, so you don't have to feel too guilty.
Yeah. I mean, like compared to there's probably out of what we got so far, I think more people are alive from this one than this one.
Yeah, but they're both great examples of
great American comedies.
Yeah, great comedy. So then this one, I'm being very careful because this is the most expensive thing in my pile. Is Charles Willeford's Pickup. Are you familiar with this guy?
No, I am not. So, usually when I get these books, and I think this is an international... No, it's Black Lizard. So, usually when I'm doing, like, mystery or crime books, I do it by the publisher.
Yeah.
Or at least when I'm researching it, the publisher is the first thing I look at versus the author, because I haven't read a ton of it.
So, Willeford is a genuine find. He's a kind of cult pulp fiction writer, crime novelist. And I read this one not too long ago, about a year and a half ago, and it's a very dark book about this guy he's a waiter. He's a short order cook in San Francisco. I think it's in the 50s, maybe 60s, and this woman walks into the diner, and she's like suicidally alcoholic, and he falls in love with her because he's also suicidally alcoholic.
Oh, some people. Oh, so it's like Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah. It's very, very dark, and it's basically about how they just sort of go into this spiral of getting shitty jobs in order to make enough money to drink, to black out drunk, to lose the job, to get the new job, and it's really, really well written. I think Willeford. Some of his stuff has been adapted, so you've probably heard of the Burnt Orange Heresy. That's I
think there's a copy of that over there.
That's a great novel, and that was adapted into a movie recently. That's about a sociopathic art critic, he also wrote Cockfighter, which was the basis.
Oh yeah, Monty Hellman. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah. And then he also wrote a book called Miami Blues, which got adapted in the 80s to this movie with Fred Ward and Alec Baldwin, which is one of my favorite crime movies of the early 90s. So yeah, Pickup is dark, and it's definitely like it's a film about like the sort of interior state of someone who's consuming themselves through alcohol.
You can kind of see that on the cover. Makes a little more sense now.
Yeah. And I would guess that this is worth some money. This guy's a collectible writer, and the spine isn't even broken there.
Yeah. This was from a hoarder house. I picked up like 10,000. So a hoarder house. So if you're on TV, having a hoarder house is a bad thing. If you're running a bookstore, best thing ever, because they don't. Nobody has time to read all those books.
Yeah.
So there were 94 file boxes worth of this kind of stuff. It looked like she'd basically just written her name in the front of most of them, and then just never touched them ever again. It just said K-Mets in a bunch of them. And then also it's Black Lizard. If you're looking for crime fiction, this is a reissue. This isn't an original. Yeah. But the reissues, honestly, if you were collecting it, I would probably go for the reissues because they all have matching spines, kind of like the Criterion Collection. I see anything Black Lizard, I usually look it up.
They're from Berkeley?
Are they from Berkeley?
That's what it said on there.
Yeah, if it said it on there, I'm not going to risk being on an episode if you were
there
wrong.
It is,
Berkeley.
1987.
Yep. So what's next?
Next, maybe you can tell me about this one. I only know a little bit about the
John Berger. So I'm kind of fascinated. That was the John Berger novel over there you picked.
I didn't. Maybe I didn't poke around enough to see. Oh,
because there's. Should I run over and grab it? So there's one called Regiment of Women, where it's literally just a boob on the front, and it's a sci-fi novel about if women have taken over the United States.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
need this one too.
yeah, I'll go
Well,
crack
okay,
that in a little bit. But so John Berger is mostly known as the author of Little Big Man, which was made into a fairly famous movie with Dustin Hoffman. He's writing kind of like basically like hippie satirical novels. There's a lot of science fiction elements. He's playing around with genre because Little Big Man is basically a satirical western. Regiment of Women is essentially a satirical science fiction novel. G, I have never read, but I'm guessing it probably follows that rubric.
Um, it's funny that you say that. Maybe I have somebody else in mind, but isn't John Berger also a fairly well-known essayist and art critic?
That is a different John Berger.
Got it. Okay, Ways of
Yeah.
Seeing guy.
Yeah, Ways of Seeing guy is not the John Berger that did Little Big Man. As far as I'm aware.
Ways of Seeing and yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, and you see like Ways of Seeing like that's probably one of the most. If you get in like every 100 art criticism books you get in, there's probably going to be 2-3 copies of that, no matter what.
Well, what's interesting is this says it's a, well, one of the pull quotes says that it's a profoundly interesting and intelligent fiction. Berger constructs a brilliant polemic on women's liberation. So this is feminist science fiction written by a man in the early 70s.
Okay, I gotta go grab
1972.
Regiment of Women. I gotta show you this.
Yeah.
This is like so ridiculous. It should be in the B's.
Are we sure it's not the same John Berger?
I mean, I'm not an expert on John. Oh, did that sell? Oh shit, that might have sold. Okay. You can look up the cover if you're at home. Somebody must have moved it, I think. I don't remember. I would have remembered if that sold. Yeah, so it's just like it's and the stuff on the inside of it is hilarious. The little like sample they give you of the book. Like, because the men, I think the men are forced to wear high heels, and then they're like in these weird like BDSM, but they're working as a secretary kind of relationship.
This sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds like an early short film by Alice Guy Blanche called it's something about like what will happen if women's liberation
Right.
takes over, and it was a satire. Let's see, John Berger, Regiment of Women or Regimen.
Is it not coming up?
T. Berger.
Oh, is it Thomas Berger?
Yeah.
Do I have two burgers because they look similar in the
Yeah,
subject matter
that
sounded
one's
very
by a
similar.
Thomas Berger. I'm very curious about this. I think this might be by the essays.
So maybe Thomas Berger must have been the Little Big Man guy. Okay,
That makes more sense.
that would make more sense.
We can do a You Were Wrong within this right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have to know like a little bit about everything in here.
Oh, no.
By no means.
This is the guy. So this is the guy who wrote out About Looking and Ways of Seeing. John Berger, the art critic.
Bizarre.
And he won
The Booker
the
Prize
Booker Prize
for
in
this
70
one. Yeah.
no in 72 for something else. But this is a weird one. Well, maybe we'll just read the premise. It's a
Oh, yep, and there's Louise K. Metz.
there it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's a historical fiction, kind of modern, maybe even postmodern spin on the Don Juan story. But then from, I guess, a feminist perspective. Berger describes a sexual Machiavel whose seductions might look like a principled revenge against the ruling class, a sort of Don Juan who liberates his women and subverts a merciless social order dominated by the search for colonies and capital. Sounds like heady stuff. It doesn't sound like men dressed up as secretaries.
Yeah, that's true.
It does have this great, like,
Yeah, it's a nice cover.
really good cover. I'm definitely taking this one home.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Because I didn't even know he wrote novels.
Cool. All right. So,
Okay.
and Ron has Ron. You want to join us for the last one? Last few?
Oh
No,
yeah.
no, I'm here.
Oh,
I've got
there's a few.
plenty
Okay.
more. Yeah,
So
Uh,
Ron's in the control booth.
controlling the seat.
He's
okay.
so here's a copy of Human Bondage by W. Somerset Maugham.
Have you read this book?
I have not read that one. I've read some Maugham. I read The Razor's Edge was the one I read.
Okay. So I've never read this, but Ron and I, during the second or third year of the pandemic, can't remember anymore.
You participated in some Human Bondage together.
We were bound to Zoom, and we watched about 30% of Betty Davis's filmography. And one of her most famous early roles is playing Mildred, the lead female character in Of Human Bondage, and it's basically about this guy who is crazily in love with this woman, and she just treats him horribly and strings him along. And
So almost like a Thomas Hardy concept.
yeah, it's just like it's about this like exquisite suffering that he goes through, like for a very very long time.
Exquisite suffering.
Yes, it's good stuff. It's really twisted. I don't know about the book. I know it's a classic, but the film is something else. So I'm looking forward to reading it.
Yeah, Mom was definitely an interesting character. It's very simple, direct writing. He's kind of like. He's like if Theodore Dreiser, it's so simple and direct that it veers into like copy editing issues a lot of the time. I'll stand by in an American Tragedy all day, all night, but or like Sister Carrie, but they're very awkwardly written novels. And
Yeah.
Mom is he's simple but he's graceful, but it's not like kind of a like very staccato kind of forceful. Simplicity like you see in like a Hemingway book or something like that.
One of the things I like about both of these books too is the Berger book, green pages.
Oh yeah,
How
yeah.
often? I haven't seen that very often. What is that?
It's so that's basically I'm not sure exactly what it means. You see it a lot with older like airport paper. So the technical name for this is like a mass market paperback.
Right.
They're all the same dimensions.
Yeah.
I love them because you can store them very easily. But the binding is not necessarily like these are made to be kind of read and disposed of. They're disposable
Right.
objects in
Right.
theory, and so
And
so the blue and the green you see a lot on the edges. I'm
Yeah.
not sure why.
Red.
Like this one has red.
yeah.
It was probably some kind of code for the publisher to say, what series it was a part of, or what division of the company, or it might even be like which press
Right.
printed this specific copy, because a lot of these things would have been produced in bulk at multiple factories.
Then I picked up something special. Looks like one of those public domain double feature.
This is a dollar store DVD. This is
Right.
the definition of a dollar store DVD.
Manufactured by PC Treasures in Oxford, Michigan. And this has 2 full-length television movies. The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, which is made sometime in the 70s. And that's John Travolta playing...
He's in a plastic bubble.
Right, he
Yeah.
has some sort of condition that means he has to live his entire life inside of a plastic bubble. And I saw this during the pandemic.
Isn't that what the Seinfeld episode was based off of, basically?
I think so, yeah. And there's also a movie called Bubble Boy with somebody from SNL or something. This is a very, this is one of those movies, it's not a particularly good movie, but it's so poignant. The subject matter is just...
Poignant wasn't the word I thought you were going to use there.
I mean, it's about a guy who's, he's coming of age inside of a plastic bubble, and he can't date, he can't do anything,
So it's like growing up. It's like growing up with like religious fundamentalist parents.
Yeah, it's just he's severely limited. Let's put it that way. And then, but I'm taking this home for another reason, which is that this also contains a TV movie with Sissy Spacek from the early '70s, where she plays someone named Catherine Allman. The movie's called Catherine, and she's born with a silver spoon, shuns her family and the material world to join ranks with a group of domestic terrorists.
Wait, is this supposed to be about Patty Hearst, basically?
I think it's inspired by Patty Hearst, but it's not Patty Hearst, right? And then her dad is played by Art Carney, and then Henry Winkler is in it. I'm hoping.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
hoping as a revolutionary leader. I kind of doubt that that's
That
the
would
case.
be amazing.
I looked this one up, and there's no Blu-ray for this.
I can only. I mean, a Blu-ray it would just be the same transfer, probably.
Yeah.
Because this looks like. I mean, these look like somebody taped it off the TV and then they just put it on the,
Sure,
on
yeah.
the disc. Which, I mean, that's like true of pretty much every dollar store DVD release of things.
Yeah. Anyways, very excited about this one. There's a picture of Sissy Spacek holding a gun. I can't really see that.
There we go.
There it is, yeah.
Yep.
That's her.
There's Sissy Spacek with a gun.
Yeah, yeah. So that looks
Looking
like
good.
that looks like a winner. That's going home with me.
What else we got?
You know this one?
I did. I watched that copy of it. I watched that for date night with my ex, and that's why I'm here right now and not there. And no, so it's I mean, pretty. She hated that movie. Oh my god, I didn't mind it so much. It's not great. It's no Shakes the Clown, but it's a fun time.
Should we should just tell people what this movie's about.
So a woman engages in certain adult activities with a dog when she's in college, and it haunts her future relationships. I think that's the best I can summarize it.
I think the movie is about the perils of being truly honest with the person you love. Because I think the context is that she gave her dog oral sex in college, and she's felt weird about it ever since. Like, I'm a bad person, I'm a pervert, whatever. And then at some point, he's like, no, tell me your darkest secret or something. And she's like, oh, okay. And he can't get over it. He can't get over it. And it's sort of about the limits of honesty. So
right, and I thought about that movie a lot when I was in a relationship with a woman who was very into the Dave Matthews Band, and if she hadn't told me that, if it had just stayed as like, in the same file drawer where the dog stuff goes.
Well, I think the only thing that would be worse than someone reacting badly to you telling them that you performed oral sex on a dog would be if they were very excited about it. And
that would be.
And then you might think, oh, I shouldn't be with this person. They're encouraging something in me that I probably should put in the past.
Right.
Anyways, Bobcat Goldthwait, interesting director. He's made some interesting movies.
He doesn't remake his old movies really, and he's always going for. Certainly, no one else has made a movie about that specific circumstance before.
We're doing a big pile so that you can edit only the highlights. Whatever you think is. Okay, Dan, tell me about this one.
Oh, okay. So that was in with a giant lot of books. That is the counterinsurgency field manual. So if you want to know how the Marines, if you want to know how, advanced interrogation stuff works, it's kind of all in there. And very weirdly common book.
There's some blood stains here in chapter 3. I don't know. You could probably get that out with club soda or something.
When I was working at the bookstore I used to work at, they had a first edition of Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee that was in perfect shape. And for those of you at home, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, it's a book about a big showdown between the FBI and a Native American community, and it had CIA deployment papers being used as a bookmark in it, and it was a little weird.
That sounds like really bad infosec, right? Keep the secret documents as a bookmark.
People use. I mean, I found a book once where a woman or man or whoever owned the book before it got to me. They were using a do not resuscitate form as a bookmark.
Yeah. Wow. A buddy of mine bought a book from here a few weeks back. It was a Berenstain Bears softcore porn. I don't know what it was, and he found a 50,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't know if he called you about it, but yeah, I mean, a $50 bill. That's something else.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Okay, so
so that's what you do see these a fair amount,
yeah,
like military guides and manuals. I got a giant thing that's like an art book about the history of the Marines that came in. It's
yeah.
got this weird like it's got like a baby board book cover. It's got this soft like uh, it's got this very weird soft cover. But yeah, so that's what
Can I say
that's
something
what
about
that
that?
is.
There's a
Yeah.
quote on here from General David Petraeus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this is sort of like the pull quote. Surely a manual that's on the bedside table of the President, Vice President, Secretary of Defense, 21 of 25 members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and many others deserve a place at your bedside too. Now, this is a little grammatically fishy, but
So the four guys who don't have this book,
yeah.
come on the show? We would like to talk to
Also,
you.
why is it bedside reading? I think this would be more like breakfast table reading or maybe even toilet book, you know, like when you're sitting down.
It's you know,
Bedside.
bedside. I guess
Yeah.
that's probably where, because when you go into like a boomer house or something like that, because I've been into a fair number of people's houses, because you kind of just end up doing
They're
that
the
when
only
you're doing
people who
this
own
stuff.
houses.
They own houses, they own books, they own way too many books, and you can tell the books they actually read
Yeah.
are always next to their bed.
Yeah.
It's never on the shelf. So it's just an old person thing if I had to guess. But
So the last thing in my pile, I've never heard of before, but God,
Let's
it has
go
a
play
has a
BFF.
great cover. It's this thing called Cannibal Terror.
Mhm.
Have you seen this? Do you know anything about
I
this?
did not watch that. It's I know that it's an exploitation movie for
Yeah.
sure. I picked that up in Boston, I believe, at a thrift store just because of the cover.
Yeah, it's from 1981, and it's
It looks like some kind of like knockoff of like Cannibal Holocaust.
yeah,
or
it's like
something.
that. It's like that. Now I looked this up, and this has a reputation. People have called this the Room of Italian horror.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, so it could be pretty bad.
That sounds.
It says it
fun.
was banned in Britain, but that wasn't very hard once upon a time.
Well, yeah, Clockwork Orange was banned in Britain. There were a few other
Yeah.
ones that were banned in Britain for a long time.
The pull quote here is a catalog of perversions such as voyeurism, rape, cannibalism, and a Euro soundtrack that's an absolute blast. So wow, that's quite a claim.
That's some marketing. Yeah, I couldn't say anything about that,
Yeah.
that about the store.
This was put out by Severin Films. I think there's a Blu-ray now, but that's probably like $50 because
Yeah, it's totally
pay
the
a lot
kind
of money
thing
for
that,
this, yeah.
yeah.
yeah. So it is the first time it's ever been in high definition in the United States. So that's a good find. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
Cannibal
that's a
Terror.
thing. So, the Room of Italian Horror Movies. I did not know that was even a category to be won.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. I guess any parting words?
No, thank you for letting me have all this stuff for free. It's really nice. I don't think we should let it get out that you're giving out stuff for free, but
Well, I'm doing it. This is an exchange for labor, right? You're showing
Right.
up on this.
right.
This is the price of being seen with me in public. No. So this is Silver Factory Books and Records on 1509 Saratoga Road, Ballston Spa, New York, across from the USA gas station. We got an Instagram. It's at Silver Factory Books. We got a Facebook, Silver Factory Books and Records. And there's also Anominy, which is the official podcast of Silver Factory Records and Books, basically. And that's at Anominy, ANOMINY.com. Doesn't get much easier than that.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Sorry, I didn't realize that would go on so long.
Oh, it's all good. It's like